March 2020, the world shut down. Fear took over. And they told you this was all for your safety. Lockdowns, mask mandates, social distancing. And then came the vaccine. They said it was safe and effective. They said it was the only way to get your life back. They said the science was settled. But now, in 2025, the truth is coming out, and it's worse than we thought. Millions are dealing with side effects. Heart conditions, strokes, and immune disorders are rising. And now, the government just confirmed you can't SUE. Let's break down how they tricked the world and what they don't want you to know.
It's literally about saving lives. I trust the scientists, and it is the scientists who created and approved this vaccine.
I'm a mom. I'm actually a mother of 3 kids, ages 12 to 16. And so I understand that there might be some hesitation out there. However, I trust the science, and I certainly am going to trust those experts who are on the advisory panel, which will review all of the data and tell the FDA whether they think that the vaccine is safe and effective in children. And I can tell you that I cannot wait until I can get my 3 kids vaccinated.
Dr. Stephen Hahn telling the Financial Times a vaccine developer could receive federal approval before phase 3 trials are complete.
What my message to people out there is to trust the process. Trust the scientists. Trust people who are out here trying to do the best to end this pandemic.
And so the hesitancy is real. I totally get it. But you're looking at someone who just was blessed enough to have his second vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, on yesterday. And I would not have done that, nor would I have done it publicly, if I didn't trust in the science and think it was the right thing to do.
At the start of the pandemic, the media ran a 24/7 fear campaign. Every channel, every headline, every government official preached the same message. Stay inside. Mask up. Obey the mandates. Dissent was silenced. Doctors who questioned the data were banned. Scientists who raised concerns were blacklisted. Meanwhile, government officials like Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates, and Big Pharma execs profited from the crisis. Yes, you heard correctly, Bill fucking Gates, the Microsoft software systems founder, was passing around vaccines. He's the same one who infamously admitted the purpose of their vaccines.
This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to 0. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to 0. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to 0. That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
It's all about population control. Reduce the numbers to optimize compliance with a manageable number of people. But by all means, listen to the tech guy and take his expert advice on pharmaceuticals. And while they locked you down, they partied, traveled, and lived life freely. Because the rules were never for them. They were for you. Then came the vaccine rollout. It started with choice. They told you, if you want to take it, great. Then, the pressure began to rise. Get vaccinated or lose your job. No shot? No travel, no restaurants, no public spaces.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
They hosted sweepstakes and gifts to boost participation into their program, bringing the full gambit of politicians, celebrities, and media personalities to convince the public to partake in the mass vaccination project.
Vaccine, 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 vaccine.
From dollies singing.
I'm begging of you, please don't hesitate.
Social media shamed the unvaccinated, calling them dangerous and selfish. They even got your family and friends to turn on the unvaccinated through peer pressure and shaming tactics. It became a digital ID system where you had to show proof of compliance. But here's the real kicker. They lied about stopping transmission. They covered up severe side effects. And they rushed an experimental product with no long-term data. And now, people are paying the price.
She says, like many in the military, she was urged by superiors to take the COVID vaccine. So she did. Not unusual. What is unusual? She immediately suffered severe adverse reactions. 3 heart attacks thereafter, and a stroke.
Well, the state of Kansas hitting the big pharma's Pfizer with a lawsuit, claiming the company, quote, misled the public that it had a safe and effective COVID-19 vaccine, even though it knew it was connected to serious adverse events. I'm quoting there. It hid that information from the public.
But I just want everyone to know that I think this vaccination is the worst thing ever. And I would not give this to anybody, even my worst enemy. Please, America, they do not care about us.
This week, The Telegraph obtained documents which revealed AstraZeneca had admitted for the first time in legal proceedings that its jab can, in very rare cases, trigger TTS. Its admission of the side effect in court documents could yet lead to payouts for those affected, and the government has pledged to underwrite the bills. Among those fighting for fair compensation is 47-year-old Jamie Scott. A father of 2, Jamie suffered a permanent brain injury 10 days after having the jab in April 2021.
Can SARS-CoV-2 virus cause myocarditis? Absolutely. The vaccine also can do it. It's much, much rarer. The overall incidence is roughly 1 in 50,000. For young boys, say a 16 to 17-year-old boy, it was as high as 1 in 6,600. It was usually after dose 2, usually within 4 days of dose 2, was generally transient and self-resolving. And although we initially would admit those kids to the hospital because we just hadn't seen this before, sure, I think as we learned about it, we didn't. We started following them as outpatients because it generally was self-resolving.
As time passed, people started noticing. Young, healthy individuals suddenly having heart attacks. Increase in myocarditis, blood clots, and neurological issues. Sudden deaths, often labeled as unknown causes. At first, they called it conspiracy. But now, the data is speaking for itself.
On March 1st of 2020, 37-year-old New Yorker and marathoner Deirdre O'Sullivan planned to run the Tokyo Marathon. COVID canceled that race for non-elite runners, and 3 weeks later, Deirdre tested positive for the virus.
It started off not that bad.
But soon, Deirdre struggled to move from the bed to the couch. Her entire body ached and she lost her appetite.
When I got to the 2-month mark, I just felt awful. And then all the tests came back clear, So
doctors told her COVID was gone, attributing her pain to sitting around and eating potato chips.
I didn't even have potato chips in my house.
And advising her to return to her regular life.
It made me feel like I was losing my mind.
A year after testing positive, Deirdre still struggled to do laundry or shop for groceries.
My chest gets really tight. I feel like all this, like I'm gonna have a heart attack.
And her experience, if not her exact symptoms, mirrors those of other athletes suffering from so-called long COVID, like Celtics forward Jason Tatum, now using an inhaler for the first time in his life, Jaguars running back Raquel Armstead, who missed all of last season, White Sox third baseman Yoan Moncada, who struggled to run the bases, Clemson defensive end Justin Foster, who retired from football, and others.
Governments around the world are quietly admitting that vaccine injuries are real. Even Pfizer's own documents show they knew about risks early on. So what happens if you got the shot and now you're suffering? Here's the truth they never told you. Vaccine manufacturers cannot be sued. The government that mandated it cannot be held responsible. Your insurance company will not cover your damages. Don't forget that former President Biden, on his way out the White House, pardoned a collection of individuals, with one notable, Dr. Fauci, among those pardoned. Why? Unless the Biden administration have something to hide about their operations during the pandemic.
This conversation, guys, we mentioned these pardons offered by President Biden this morning. General Milley has accepted the pardon, and now Dr. Anthony Fauci in a statement says he is grateful for the pardon he received from President Biden. He just received word from his attorney this morning the pardon had gone through. He says, quote, "It feels good, and I'm grateful to the president for doing it."
Under the PrEP Act, pharmaceutical companies were given complete legal immunity. That means if you took the shot and developed a heart condition, a stroke, or any other illness, you're on your own. This was never about health. This was never about saving lives. This was about control and profit. The deception is unraveling, but the fight isn't over. Lawsuits are emerging, and whistleblowers are speaking out. People are demanding accountability, but the system is fighting back. The media is scrambling to cover their tracks. And here's what you need to do. Stay informed. Read the studies, follow independent researchers, and question the narrative. Demand justice. Don't let them sweep this under the rug. Protect yourself. They're already preparing for the next crisis. Because make no mistake, this was a test run. They are gauging the percentage of those who would comply and how much time they have to gain maximum susceptibility. Think about previous moments in history where the government experimented on their people. And if they got away with it once, they'll try again. They told you to trust the science. They told you it was for your safety. They told you to comply, or else. And now, they're telling you it's not their problem. The question is, what will you do now that you know the truth? Subscribe to 3 Seconds to Midnight. Time is running out.